Sure, I'm Kevin Brown. I'm the head of innovation and CTO for the IT division of Schneider Electric. Well, within data centers, Schneider's a provider of physical infrastructure. So in my role, I'm responsible for looking at the data center trends and dealing with everything from medium voltage, power distribution, low voltage, building management systems, all the software associated with managing the data center, and of course, UPS's cooling racks, rack PDUs, and bringing that all together as a solution for our customers. What makes a good edge facility is an interesting question, because first you have to define what is edge. And there's a lot of noise about edge, a lot of hype, a lot of people talking about it's the next multi-billion-dollar opportunity. I've seen people say this, but it's interesting that the term fog computing was first used in 2012, and at this point we still, 6-7 years later, we still can't define it very well as an industry. And so our model is pretty simple. We think in the future there's going to be 3 types of data centers: centralized cloud data centers, then we call regional edge, which might be 1 to 5 megawatts, and then what we like to call a local edge, which I think is going to be, say, maybe up to 100 kilowatts. Generally is going to be in one box, maybe it's a couple of racks. And to me, that's where all the debate is really occurring, is what is this local edge, what does it look like, and how do we build it, and what's the opportunity it presents? Some people think an edge might be as big as 100 kilowatts. We like looking at retail as a great example, though, of the challenge that the local edge presents. Most of these environments have historically been uncontrolled. They've been, if you want to talk about tiers, is maybe a tier 1, more likely like a tier 0 type design. I mean, you talk about open wiring closets. And those now need to be treated like mini data centers, micro data centers. And they need to be maybe not like the same kind of tier standard, but certainly we want to be able to manage them in the same way as a mission critical data center. And when you look at somewhere like a retail, they all have similar challenges, which is they have thousands of these all over the world, and they really don't have the staff available to manage them effectively. So we think as an industry, we really need to rethink how we're approaching it and how we manage these types of installations. So it's interesting to talk about the automation and the sensors and the controls to meet this challenge of managing the local edge. So we think there's really 3 fundamental things that need to happen, and we have been working on is, first of all, you can't just think about yourself, you got to think about the whole ecosystem that needs to come together, because it needs to be a combination of not only the facility infrastructure like we do, but think about IT. You think about that the customer wants to get this thing integrated and delivered, so there's probably a system integrator somewhere. There might be a managed service provider who maybe didn't exist 10 years ago, but now we're dealing with that, who is actually the one servicing and working with these. And to deliver a solution that's going to meet the customer also needs to maybe change the way they're behaving and how they define what the application is and what the needs. So the whole ecosystem, you can feel it evolving and dealing with these supply chain issues and very difficult problems about how do we actually work together to deliver this solution. So that's number 1, is how do we get an integrated ecosystem. The second challenge we got is when you think about the amount of data that's coming in, it very much lends itself towards a management system that's architected for the cloud. And not just taking one and running it in the cloud, but actually re-architecting, rethinking. And this is what we've been working on for a couple of years. And one of the benefits is if you believe in this integrated ecosystem needs to work together differently, the power of a cloud architecture is it allows multiple people to look at the exact same data at the same time. And that is very powerful when you start trying to troubleshoot what's happening across thousands of different micro data centers. And then the third thing that comes in is, so 1, an integrated ecosystem, 2, a software management system architected for the cloud. Third thing then is, now we're in a position to start really applying AI, so that I like to refer to as augmented intelligence, because we're really trying to augment what our subject matter experts understand. And I think we're in the very early days, though, of actually implementing some of these tools. But at Schneider, we're making progress. We have some algorithms that we're launching into the market, certainly within the next few months here, and we're excited about the progress we've made. So the core platform that we're using to implement this cloud architecture and using AI is our EcoStruxure IT platform, which and candidly, it was a journey we started on maybe about 2 years ago, and it was much more difficult to think about re-architecting for the cloud and how do we do that. But then also, what is the data we need to collect? How do we start doing the algorithms? How do we normalize all the data? Were very significant challenges. So we feel pretty good about where we are now, but it was a much harder journey than maybe what we would have anticipated 2 or 3 years ago when we started. So why does Schneider support DCD? We do find the DCD events are they're a great resource for the industry. It's one of the locations you can come to an event, you see many of the thought leaders inside the industry, you can really, and it's not only the formal sessions, but it's also the ability, just even walking around, you can run into people and have a discussion about some of the challenges we're having, some of what they're having, and start working on a dialogue. And certainly, as I mentioned in some of the things we've talked about, is I do believe the ecosystem needs to change the way it's working together. And you can't change the way you're working together if you're not meeting and talking and discussing the challenges that we're all having and working on those together. And we think DCD does a great job at providing a venue to open up those conversations. So that's why we always enjoy working with our colleagues at DCD.